Hello, welcome back to another chapter of The Way of the Superior Man. Today we're talking about Chapter 8, Lean Just Beyond Your Edge. In any given moment, a man's growth is optimized if he leans just beyond his edge, his capacity, his fear. He should not be too lazy, happily stagnating in the zone of security and comfort. Nor should he push far beyond his edge, stressing himself unnecessarily, unable to metabolize his experience. He should lean just slightly beyond the edge of fear and discomfort, constantly, in everything he does. So, this is one of my, I shouldn't say this is one of my favorites because I say that for everything, but I find that when a man is on his edge, living on his edge, he gives off a very juicy energy that's very attractive. It also means he's always getting better and challenging himself every day. But a man living on his edge gives off a very different energy than a man that's, I've arrived, I'm just going to stagnate. Or I'm going to go balls to the wall and live this high stress life. So it's kind of like the Goldilocks zone. It's perfect. Once you are honest with yourself about your real edge, it is best to lean just beyond it. Very few men have the guts for this practice. Most men either settle for the easy path or self-aggrandize themselves by taking the extreme hard path. Your insecurity may cause you to doubt yourself, and so you take the easy way, not even approaching your real edge or your real gift. Alternatively, your insecurity may lead you to push, seeking to become victorious over your own sense of lack. I always love Deida's writing style. It's very powerful. And I also really like this distinction here because a lot of times we think living on your edge means challenging ourselves, pushing ourselves to the limit, but that's not where the edge is. The edge is just beyond your comfort zone, right? Pushing too hard actually is also a sign of insecurity and fear. Trying to cover up for something or make up for inadequacy in some way. I like to think of it in terms of yoga. Right? When we're doing yoga, what we're doing is we're stretching, but we're not hanging out where we don't feel anything, and we're not going where there's pain. We're just kind of playing between the edge of comfort and discomfort, and that's what I think of when we talk about living on your edge. So both approaches avoid your actual condition in the moment, which is often fear. If you are stressfully avoiding your fear, you cannot relax into the fearless. So I really like this part as well. Fear keeps us away from the edge, right? It's like, that's a scary place. That's outside of my comfort zone. But it's actually by leaning into our fear, by going where it's scary, that's how we can become free of our fear. And for the masculine, freedom is the highest value. And it's paradoxical in a way, but necessary. Right? We have to go into our fear to become free of it. And it reminds me of my past. So for example, I had really bad social anxiety. If I kept trying to avoid crowds back then, it would have just made that fear bigger and bigger. Whereas, challenging myself to talk to people, to look people in the eye when talking to them, that helped me overcome my fear and become free of it. Your fear is the sharpest definition of yourself. You should know it. You should feel it virtually constantly. Fear needs to become your friend, so that you are no longer uncomfortable with it. Rather, primary fear shows you that you are at your edge. Staying with the fear, staying at your edge, allows real transformation to occur. Neither lazy nor aggressive. Playing your edge allows you to perceive the moment with the least amount of distortion. You are willing to be with what is, rather than trying to escape it by pulling back from it, or trying to escape it by pushing beyond it into some future goal. I think the most powerful sentence here is your fear is the sharpest definition of yourself. Right? How much we fill our potential is contained. That outline is is shaped by our fear. If we lived a completely fearless life where we're devoting ourselves to our mission every day, our whole life, our whole potential expands. So how we give in to our fears is the shape that our life ends up taking. And the next part here, playing your edge allows you to perceive the moment with the least amount of distortion. I think that's true, right? Playing our edge is where we are the most conscious, like in, for example, using yoga again. If we're just hanging out where it's comfortable, it's easy for our mind to wander, right? And in this case, it'd be living our zombie life, right? Just going to work, come home, watch TV, repeat. Weekend, go to the bar. And then, before we know it, our whole life is over. We're kind of living unconsciously. And then there's the opposite, where we're pushing ourselves too hard, that we're only focused on achievement and on goals. We're not actually conscious of where we are, right? We're pushing ourselves too hard, but it's kind of in that Goldilocks zone where it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable, but we're consciously there. We're choosing this specifically because it is just beyond our edge. That's where we're the most present. Another thing I like about this paragraph is fear needs to become your friend so that you're no longer uncomfortable with it. Rather, primary fear shows you that you are at your edge. So I like this because fear's always going to be there, okay, because we're human. But instead of running away from it, we can use it. It lets us know, hey, this is our edge. It's useful, right? And so once it comes up, instead of running away from it, we're like, oh, hey, I found my edge. Like, this is great. This is a place where I can play. Fear of fear may lead you to hang back, living a lesser life than you are capable. Fear of fear may lead you to push ahead, living a false life, off-center, tense, and missing the moment. But the capacity to feel this moment, including your fear, without trying to escape it, creates a state of alive and humble spontaneity. You are ready for the unknown as it unfolds, since you are not pulled back or pushed forward from the horizon of the moment. You are hanging right over the edge. I really like this because he doesn't say fear leads you to hang back. He says fear of fear. Fear itself is useful, as we just mentioned. It's our messenger. It lets us know we're at our edge. But when we're afraid of that feeling, that's kind of when we're not living our true potential. And it makes me think for myself, right? Where's my edge? Where do I feel fear? And it's interesting for this video because Trent offered to accompany me, and we'll do it together like our first few videos. But after reading this chapter, I felt that if I was doing it on my own, I felt more fear. So I knew that doing videos on my own is kind of my edge. And so I'm living my edge. By leaning just beyond fear, you challenge your limits compassionately, without trying to escape the feeling of fear itself. You step beyond the solid ground of security with an open heart. You stand in the space of unknowingness, raw and awake. Here the gravity of deep being will attend you to the only place where fear is obsolete, the eternal free fall of home, where you always are. I really like this because freedom is kind of that goal that we're always looking for. We think that by accomplishing all these goals, we think by staying in our comfort zone we're free from doing the scary things. But it's interesting because the longer we stay in our comfort zone, the more it shrinks. Or we think that by doing all these crazy things, by pushing ourselves to the limit, that's where we're free as well. But when we're doing that, we're actually running away, because let me use like sprinting, for example. Like if we're just like running, and it might be like we're pushing our muscles and we're pushing the limits of our mind, but we're not actually able to be present because, or actually pay attention to what's truly going on in our life, because this goal is so intense, it just consumes everything. So it's only by leaning just beyond what our comfort zone is, that's where we're most present and also most free. I think that was what I want to say there. Oh, yes, and when we're free, it means that we can be at home. We have this feeling of peace, of relaxedness, despite the uncertainty, the chaos, the insecurity. And we're kind of like this pillar, a solid rock amid the raging ocean. And, it's a very, very attractive trait. Yes, okay. Own your fear and lean just beyond it in every aspect of your life, starting now. I really like it because the edge is different for everyone, right? Some people's edge might be really far out, and some people's edge is really close. Like, for example, when I first started trying to get over my social anxiety, my edge was just looking someone in the eye for 1 second, and that's all I could do. Whereas now my edge might be going up and approaching a stranger and starting a conversation with a stranger. But our edge shifts, right? Mine used to be really close, and now it's a lot farther. So the more we work on our edge, the more it expands, and the more our life and our potential expands. So it's like taking those baby steps, a little bit of discomfort at a time. And I really like the analogy of yoga for this, or stretching, right? Feeling the stretch. Oh, that's where my discomfort is. Okay, I'm just gonna hang out there, and then the muscle will relax, and then we can go farther. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week. Bye!